Hello everyone, I'll just wait a minute and hopefully a few more people will arrive. Hope you had a lovely weekend. Yeah. So I'm thinking today, I know I said on Friday, if anybody was watching on Friday, that maybe we'd do a little sing-along at the end, and then I kind of forgot, but it's better this way because I've put a link in the description to the lyrics. I was thinking of doing Stand By Me, Benny King, because I think everybody kind of knows that song, but maybe we'll do that song every day this week so that if you don't know it, you can maybe learn it. But you should be able to find the lyrics in a link in the description of this video. So make sure you open it in a different tab, otherwise you'll lose the video. And yeah, cool. So we'll just give it another minute, see if a couple more people might arrive, and then we'll get started. Okay, let's just start, and then when people arrive they can just join in. So, as usual, we're always going to start with, so we're kind of swinging from our hips. If anybody is new, welcome, please consider subscribing. Hi Kurt, thank you for coming. So we're swinging from our hips, and we're just keeping our arms really floppy and relaxed. If you're the sort of person that tends to hold tension in your arms, oh yay, happy National Holiday Day. So if you're the sort of person that holds tension in your arms, you want them to be nice and relaxed highly, this is quite good just to sort of shake it out, because sometimes, as we were talking about last week if you were here, you know, when you tend to have tension in any particular part of your body, you don't know that you're tense in that moment, because if you're kind of used to a certain bad posture, it feels comfortable to you. So if somebody says relax, you're gonna stand or sit in the position that makes you feel comfortable and think, yeah, this is relaxed. But if, like me, you have tension in your shoulders, you know, I'll be like this and think, oh yeah, I'm totally straight and normal and everything, like, and actually I'm all wonky. So it's good if you can look in a mirror whilst you're doing these things, because then you can see if any bad habits are creeping in. Oh, I'm all clicking because all stiff. But hopefully this will help loosen everything out. So just shake it out. And now I'll just angle the camera down a little bit, so hopefully you can see. So we're just going to bend our knees and straighten. And we're just now going to start thinking about our breathing and how that kind of connects with the rest of our bodies. So in general, what we want to be thinking when we're doing these breathing exercises is we never want to be thinking about taking a breath in. What we want to be thinking about is how we push the air out of our lungs using our diaphragm, which is this muscle. So if you actually use your hands and you feel where the bottom of your ribs are, that's sort of where your diaphragm sits. It's a big muscle. It's kind of like a sheet tarpaulin or something. And so when our lungs fill with air, our rib cage expands and the diaphragm would drop down. So what we want to focus on is then when we engage the diaphragm to push the air out of our lungs, and then when we just relax, the diaphragm relaxes and drops down, and the air will suck back in automatically. So the best way I can describe how it feels, if you're unfamiliar with the feeling, is if you've been swimming underwater and holding your breath underwater, and then you get to a certain point where you need to breathe, but you suddenly realise that you're actually a bit deeper than you intended to be, and now it's taking a bit longer to get to the surface. So by the time you get to the surface, you don't sort of take in a deep breath like when people would say it's an instinct, it's just automatic, and your diaphragm would just drop, and that's what we want to be trying to emulate when we take in a breath. So a lot of talking, but we're gonna add some arm movements to this bending and straightening of our legs, which are gonna somewhat represent the breathing. So we're gonna bring our arms in and out. And as your arms are in, I want you to think of that as being the pushing up the diaphragm, and then out is opening of your rib cage as the air floods back in. So you can breathe through your mouth at this point. And if you've got that sort of a mind that you're able to visualize in your mind's eye your lungs filling with air and being squeezed out with the diaphragm pushing up, that's always good. It's always good to sort of imagine it if you can. And to the side. Shake it up. So yeah, some people feel a little bit squeamish about thinking, like picturing their own lungs, which I'm not judging, that's fine if that's how you feel. If you prefer to think of it along the lines of, balloon, like imagine your lungs are just balloons filling with air and emptying, that's fine too. Just gonna have a sip of water. This is quite a good bottle. I've got cinnamon in the water. It's supposed to help suppress your appetite. So hopefully with all this health and well-being and everything. Anyway, okay. So we're going to stand, or if you need to sit down or lie down, that's absolutely fine. But either way, I still want you to think about your posture. So I said last week, you might also want to think about what you want these sessions for. So, for example, if you're a singer and the purpose of this is to improve your singing, and you always stand up singing, then you should probably stand up, for the time being, because that's really what you want this training for. Ideally, moving forward, you would be able to do it all in any position, but to begin with, if you're going to use it for standing up, stand up, and, if you sit at a computer or something and that's what you want this for, then sit down. But for the time being, I'm going to just talk about it from a standing position. So we want our feet to be hip distance apart. If you don't know how to find that, you need to find your hip bone and then point your fingers down from your hip bone, and ideally you want your big toe to be sort of just in line underneath your finger, so that your big toe is in line with your hip and your feet sort of facing forward. Sometimes that feels weird in itself. Like for me personally, when I'm now standing with my feet facing forward, I feel as if my toes are slightly pointing inwards, because I guess I sort of used to standing with my feet slightly toes slightly out, so that feels like that to me. But that's why it's important, if you can look in the mirror, look down at, just gradually become more aware of what the right positions feel like, and then eventually you don't need to look in the mirror because you've got used to it. So we want our knees to be certainly not locked straight. So if you need to bend your knees a little bit, that's absolutely fine. If you're one of these people who's able to straighten your legs without locking your knees, then good for you. I'm very jealous, but I tend to try and have my knees slightly bent, otherwise the tension creeps in. So we want to imagine we've got a string coming out of the sort of crown of our head as if we're a puppet, and that string is holding us up, and that helps to get our head in a nice straight position. I personally have a tendency to go like this. If you ever see me performing, maybe one day eventually when we're allowed to, you'll probably notice that I'm like this, because I'm working on it all the time, but it takes time, So we want to try and have this, and that will hopefully help align the rest of our spine. We want our shoulders to be nice and straight, not forward, not too back like we're forcing it, but really, if you circle your shoulders back and then let them come to sort of relax, that's the position. So they're a bit more back than forward, but don't hold it back, because anything, if you're holding it in that position, it's bad news, because then you've got the tension. So we just want everything to be nice and relaxed. And if when you're trying to get into this correct position, it's impossible for you to relax because you've got so much tension, that's okay. Just don't stress about it, because that creates more tension. Just do the best you can, and gradually over time, everything starts to settle, and you'll find it more relaxing. It took me about 2 years before I was able to kind of stand like this, and it didn't hurt, because it felt like I was holding my shoulder down. So just try and be relaxed, and we're going to find a spot that is roughly in line with our eyes, a little in the distance, but not too far, not squinty. And we're just going to channel our breath to that spot. So we're going to be pushing with our diaphragm, the air out, and then when you get to the end of that breath, just try and hold it for as long as you can, and also try and see if you could just push out a little extra bit of air, and then when you've really come to the end, then you're going to just relax and allow the diaphragm to just drop, and the air will just suck back in automatically. And then you're going to do the same thing again. So we're just going to breathe, but focusing on pushing out the air, and then just holding it and allowing the air to just suck back in as your diaphragm drops. So, and if it helps for you to have your hands sort of at the bottom of your rib cage, sometimes that does help right at the end. It helps because you can sort of feel as your ribs expand, but also when you get right to the end and you think there's no more breath, then you can actually sort of manually squeeze your ribs just that little bit extra, because if you've not worked out your diaphragm particularly, then you actually have a bit more strength here in your hands to squeeze it out, and that just helps the diaphragm push out that extra little bit of air, and then you just relax and drop it in. So ideally focusing roughly at eye level. If you're looking in the mirror, you can look into your own eyes, that's handy. And like I'm doing, try and as you're doing it, just try and adjust. If you notice the bad habits creeping in as you're going along, that's fine, that's natural. Just try and correct them as you go along, and try and think nice, relaxed. Relax your body, go through the different body parts. So good morning. Oh yeah, and I said last week, every now and then if I go like this, it's because a little comment pops up on my screen, so don't think that's part of the exercise and you'll all be going, oh, I wonder why you have to do this funny face. It's not, I'm just reading the messages. So we're now going to continue doing the same thing, but switch to a shh sound. And so I hope if you keep going whilst I'm talking, but I hope if you either did it last week or have ever done any of these sort of things before, I hope that gradually you start to notice that you get a bit stronger and it's a bit easier. I mean, if you first joined last week, it's still quite early for you and you might be like, no, it doesn't feel any different. But that's okay. You know, it takes sort of fully trained opera singers, it will take them like 6 years to get to that fully trained stage. So, you know, we're not trying to be in competition with anybody or each other. With, you know, if when I do the exercise, if my lung capacity is more than yours, that's fine. You know, like it probably should be, to be honest, because I've had more training. But equally, if you've got a bigger lung capacity than me, you know, I'm not a huge person, so maybe you do. Don't stop when I stop. You do what you need to do, and equally, if you can't go as long as me, that's absolutely fine. It's not a competition. We're only just trying to stretch ourselves and improve our own bodies for ourselves, you know. And if anything, it should feel a little uncomfortable sometimes because we're stretching, but also, you know, I've said in the description, you know, if it hurts or it feels weird in a bad way, either stop and sit that exercise out or just do it a bit more gently until you've built up more strength or whatever. You know, we shouldn't be hurting ourselves. And now we're gonna switch to a f sound. So, like I said already, we're trying to get the air out. Don't hold back the air because you think that will make your breath last longer. It doesn't. You want to be pushing the air out. That's the plan. So we don't want too much of a sort of, because then the sort of gap for the air to come out is too small. We want it to be nice and open and relaxed. So sort of and you'll feel it. If your mouth is too closed, you won't be able to get the breath out, and you'll start to feel like your face kind of going red or something. So just nice and relaxed. Now let's switch to an R sound. R. You can choose any note you like, and I quite like the idea of, you know, we're all somewhere in the world and we're all doing a different note, or maybe the same note, but we never know, but somewhere in the universe we're making some kind of harmony together even though we can't hear it. You want your mouth to be nice and relaxed in that R sound. I hold lots of tension in this muscle. We all have this big muscle here, and it's quite common to hold tension. When I try and do an R sound, if I'm not warmed up at all, I don't know if you can hear that, but my jaw sort of clicks. If that happens to you, don't worry. It's usually just tension in this muscle, and sort of massaging it is a good way to try and alleviate that. So we're going to switch to an E. We want to be a nice smiley E shape, but we don't want it to have tension in our eyes or in our necks. We just want everything to be nice and relaxed, but an isolated sort of mouth, and it's nice and smiley, nice and bright. E. So and all the while, I want you to be making these sounds by pushing your diaphragm up so that it squeezes the air out of your lungs. You can put your hands on your hips if you need to, and then when you get to the end of the breath, ideally you're going to hold it a little bit, and then you're going to just relax and let the diaphragm drop down, and your lungs fill with air, your rib cage opens. Ideally, when you're doing stuff like this, and sort of all the time really, you don't want to wear clothes that are too tight, because that can sort of prohibit your rib cage can actually open out quite a lot, and even your sort of tummy area, because as your diaphragm drops down, so you need that space to be able to allow enough air back in. And hopefully the more exercises you do, even in one session, the longer your breath will last. But equally, different sort of mouth shapes, sometimes you then find you go to a new sound and it's not as long. Don't worry about any of these things, just do what you can do. It's all completely natural. If a certain mouth shape doesn't get the air out as quickly as a different mouth shape, if you see what I mean. So we'll do an ooh, and then we'll move on to something different. Ooh. So again, you want your lips to be forward, ooh, for that sort of little ooh shape, but you don't want all the tension here or anywhere else. You want to try and make sure that it's just your mouth that's making, not sort of doing any other things. We're trying to get rid of tension anywhere that it doesn't need to be, basically. Okay, and shake it all out. Very good. Okay, we're going to do the box breathing, which is breathing in for 4 counts, holding it for 4 counts, breathing out for 4 counts, and holding it for 4 counts. This is quite a good exercise for sort of like relieving stress. You can kind of do it anywhere. If you're at work or, on the computer or anything, and it just helps to kind of get a bit of control back in your body. So we're going to breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, Very good. And shake it out again. As well, doing this sort of all shaking everything out is also quite, it's obviously very easy, but sometimes, if you've got tension and you're just sort of walking on your way to something, just to kind of shake it out is a very good way of just getting rid of that extra tension. Okay, so now I would like for you to close your eyes, and we're going to just breathe normally. I tend to do this one breathing through my nose, but you can breathe through your mouth or in through your nose, out through your mouth, whatever you prefer. But what I do really want you to do is concentrate on this idea of pushing the air out, using your diaphragm, and then just relaxing, letting the air sort of suck back in as your diaphragm drops. So we're just going to breathe. So hopefully you've started already. If not, you can start in your own time. Just close your eyes and we're just going to breathe. And whilst we're starting, I want you to just kind of go through, obviously you're not looking in the mirror anymore, but just in your mind's eye, picture your body, that string coming out of your head, so that you're hopefully that helps get your whole spine in line. Chin down a little bit. Think of your shoulders. Are they kind of level and straight and down? And your arms nice and relaxed. Elbows kind of on the outside, rather than tucked into your ribs. Want it nice and relaxed. Going down to your sort of hip area. And your bum is quite a big muscle. Lots of people hold tension in their bum. You just want it nice and like the bottom of your spine is your coccyx, sort of tucked in a little but not clenched. Down your thighs, knees nice and soft. If they need to be slightly bent, that's fine too. Down, ideally your feet a hip distance apart, with your feet facing forwards, and the weight is equally distributed on your feet. And you're just breathing, pushing the air out with your diaphragm, and then relaxing, letting the diaphragm drop, and the air just sucks in automatically. You don't need to breathe in, it just comes in of its own accord. Whilst you're thinking about your breathing and thinking about your posture and having everything nice and relaxed, I now want you to listen to any sounds that are outside of the room or space if you're outside, but beyond the yard or room that you're in. So it might be a car driving by, might be birds out the window, or if it's windy, you might hear the leaves rustling in the trees. Whatever sounds are outside of the space that you're in. And if it's completely silent, then you just listen to that silence. And all the while, you've got half your mind on pushing that air out of your lungs, then relaxing, letting the air drop back in, and making sure, constantly correcting any little bad posture habits that creep in. We're listening. Continue thinking about the air being pushed out of your lungs with your diaphragm. Your diaphragm then relaxing and dropping, the air sucks back in. Now I want you to come a little bit closer in, and you're going to listen to all the sounds inside the room that you're in. Might be a clock ticking, might be a radiator buzzing, or it might just be silent. You're just going to listen to all the sounds inside the room you're in. Continue in our own rhythm, pushing the air with our diaphragm out of our lungs, and relaxing, letting the diaphragm drop and the air sucks back in. And now we're going to come even closer in. We're just going to listen to all the sounds that our own body is making. So we might be able to hear our own breathing or our own heartbeat. We might feel like we're silent and we can't hear at all, but we're still listening for it. And all the stresses of the week ahead have melted into nothing. We're just thinking about our breathing and our posture and our body and the sounds that we're making. Very good. Now I want you to put all those three things together. So you're still thinking about the breathing, pushing the air out using your diaphragm, then relaxing and allowing the diaphragm to drop so that the air sucks back into your lungs, then pushing it out again. But now you're also listening to not just your own body, the sounds inside the room that you're in, and the sounds beyond. And if you're able to, in your mind's eye, picture yourself in the space that you're in, and you're breathing that air, and we all are, and maybe if you're able to imagine all the other people doing this at the same time, if you're doing this live, and you're just really concentrating on your own body, but how it fits into the environment that you're in, and yourself in this space, in this time, and it's all connected through your breathing, pushing the air out of your lungs using your diaphragm, and relaxing, allowing the muscle to drop, and the air sucks back into your lungs. just feel yourself in this space and time. So this was an excellent session, everyone. Well done. So like I said, we're gonna try and do a little sing-along. I was thinking of doing Stand By Me this week. We'll maybe do this song every day this week, so that anybody who doesn't know it can, if you join in more than one day, you might get to know it. But I kind of feel like everybody sort of knows this song. I've put the lyrics, I've put a link to the lyrics in the description. So if you, I'll just give you a sec to try and dig that out. There's a few links in there. There's my Twitter and PayPal, hint hint. But don't feel obligated to give me any money unless you really want to. But yeah, make sure that you open the correct link and open it in a new tab so that you don't lose this video. So I'll just give you a sec to get the lyrics and then we'll give it a go. Just grab my ukulele. If anybody else plays an instrument and you want to jam along, if that's your comfort zone for singing, the chords are C, A minor, F and G. So everybody ready? I can't see you, so I don't know, but I'm going to start anyway. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see, well, I won't be afraid, no, I won't be afraid, just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. If the sky we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountains should crumble to the sea, well, I won't cry, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Thank you so much for watching. I will be back tomorrow at 11. So I hope you can join me then, or next week as well. I'll be every weekday from 11. So hopefully I will see you again soon. Have a great week, and thank you for joining me, and see you again. Cheers. Bye.